You are building tomorrow. Your ideas are reshaping every aspect of commerce, human and machine interaction, and in many cases, everyday life. Creativity, tenacity, and speed define your pursuit and shape your success. You are mapping out what is necessary to take everything to the next level. Your ideas will have incredible impact, and your journey will be like no other. The spark has been lit. You start out the gate, often alone, as you work every day to bring your vision to life. The passion that consumes you becomes the gravitational pull for others to join your journey. As you build momentum, those initial days are filled with the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. But what keeps you going is unwavering. It's those initial days that you'll never forget. In community, you find courage and your resolve grows stronger. In relationships, there's support, and you know you aren't in this alone. It started with you. It grew to us. It expanded to customers, and together, we collectively experience meaning, success, and purpose. As a company and a network of believers, we all celebrate. You are building tomorrow. Build smarter. Build faster.
Hello, everybody. My name is Leo Labs, and I'm the Executive Managing Director of LSpark. Welcome to SaaS Showcase, Remote. Remote, you say? What is that? Well, things have changed today, but that doesn't mean we cannot celebrate our successes. It doesn't mean that you're not curious to hear about them. And that's why we are bringing you the LSpark SaaS Showcase in a virtual way, and we are calling it SaaS Showcase Remote. This showcase highlights 5 of our companies that have gone through the cohort. It also showcases 2 companies from our partners in the local area and the 2019 winners of the Technovation session that just completed last year. LSpark was founded by the desire to build and help build sustainable global corporations right here in Canada. Over the past 6 years, we have engaged hundreds of companies, and 51 of them have gone through our cohorts. These 51 companies have raised over $45 million in aggregate, and they are continuing to grow their successes and find their pace in the world in these current times. We continue to look for the best companies in the world to help grow them and help succeed them. We run 4 accelerators towards that. Of course, the SaaS Showcase, which you have going to see the results of right here tonight. The BlackBerry LSpark Connected Car Accelerator, the Secure IoT Accelerator, and Compass North Accelerator that we recently launched with Queen's University to help female-founded led companies right here in the area. We believe, and I know that you believe with us, that innovation is unstoppable, that the best and the brightest are continuing to innovate, continue to persevere every day, even today. And we will be there right alongside them in their journey, each and every step. And towards that, we are announcing the launch 4 applications for our 7th SaaS Showcase. Watch the space. We are innovating. We all should continue to innovate, and Canada will be the leader. It is the leader in innovation. And this showcase will show you why. Therefore, take it easy, relax, stay safe, stay healthy, and let the showcase begin.
My name's Ashley Kennedy. I'm the CEO and founder of Neurovine, a digital health company that's changing the way that people recover from concussions. I'm a neuroscientist by training. I did a postdoctoral fellowship at the Toronto Rehab Institute and the University of Waterloo. and then worked as a wearable technology consultant, ensuring that new technologies were refined for the patient population that they were designed for. My co-founder is Dr. Matthew Kennedy, a physician that has a huge caseload of concussion patients. And we started noticing that not only did he have a lot of concussion patients, but that these patients felt they weren't being cared for in the recovery process. Part of the reason is they didn't understand what was going on in the recovery, and they couldn't change their life to improve the recovery process. On top of this, physicians don't have the data to make informed medical decisions. And so we decided to create a product that would address this need, provide data not only to the patients, but also to the doctors. Every year there are 42 million concussions, and 80% of people who have a concussion end up regressing at some point because they've pushed themselves too hard physically or cognitively. 30% of these people get stuck in a cycle of overexertion and regression called post-concussive syndrome. And both of these types of regression are correlated with high levels of anxiety and depression because you don't know when you're going to be able to return back to your previous life before you had a concussion. And the cost is high. Every year, $76.5 billion is spent in the United States to address concussion recovery and missed time at work because you cannot get back to your previous life. So why is it so difficult to recover from a concussion? Well, the current guidelines are vague and generic, but a concussion is individualized and specific to your biology as well as your pain tolerance and the type of work that you do. And the solution just doesn't really meet the person's needs at this point. It's subjective. It's based on how the person feels and how the physician thinks the person's feeling. There's no data to guide this recovery process. Patients feel a lot like they're navigating a game of snakes and ladders where they'll be improving and then all of a sudden they'll hit a trigger that sends them back days or sometimes even weeks in the recovery process. And so what we're doing at Neurovine is we're removing the guesswork from the concussion recovery process. We're changing the way that people recover from a concussion by making this invisible injury visible to them and to the physician. And practically, the way that we do this is we use an off-the-shelf EEG headset. And our cloud-based algorithms connect with the headset and an application on your cell phone. And our first release warns an individual when they're pushing themselves too hard. It gives them an alert when they're moving into this cognitive or physical overexertion zone. This is based on 10 plus years of research, and the algorithms that drive our program are patentable. Right now, we have data cleaning algorithms that are working at an accuracy rate of 89.4%, and we're at an 85.8% rate of detecting overexertion before the patient feels they're pushing themselves too hard. Both of these stats are better than a neuroscientist can see visually when looking at EEG. For the patient, they receive a brain break alert when they're pushing themselves too hard on their cell phone. And for the clinician, we have a web-based portal that tracks data as the person recovers, allowing the clinician to make informed medical decisions to guide their patient's recovery process. There are several reasons why this is the best time for us to launch our company. First of all, we have a huge awareness of the importance of brain health, thanks to professional athletes who are speaking out about the impact of concussion on their lives. Next, as a society, there's a huge demand for digital health solutions to these types of problems. And finally, the technology has advanced to the point where the technology can be available. Things like cloud computing and data science are at the point where this technology really makes sense. And the market is big. The global concussion market is $1.1 billion by 2023, but Neurovine fits just as squarely in the global cognitive assessment and training market, which is expected to be $8.06 billion by 2023. And we have three main markets: organized sports, consumer market, and the military market. For all three markets, we are offering a yearly license. For organized sports, it will be between $50,000 and $100,000 for the team, depending on the size of the program. And for the consumer, we're making a yearly license available for $500 a year. Concussions usually recover between 3 and 8 months, and so 1 year allows them to use the technology right through until they're healed. There are several companies who are using EEG to diagnose concussion. EEG is the best way to see if somebody's concussed or not. These companies are clinic-based, they're massive hardware technology companies who cannot be mobile and guide the person through the recovery process. There are also some low-tech solutions that track symptoms as somebody recovers, but Neurovine is the only company that's using real-time EEG to guide the concussion recovery process. And we've accomplished a lot in the past 18 months. We've developed our MVP. It's working. Consumers are using it in a trial. We have a clear path through the FDA. We're Class 2 510K exempt with a predicate. And we are in the process of filing 2 patents on the technology that we've created. We're looking to have an early adopter program set up for Q3 of 2020. And we will go through the full Health Canada and the full FDA process at the end of 2020 and the beginning of 2021 is when we're anticipating our approvals. We expect to have a revenue of $15 million by 2023, most of which will be consumer, but professional sports and college sports will make up a substantial amount of this revenue as well. We have an incredible panel of scientific advisors who've really guided us through the early days of developing the product, as well as tailoring the product for the market that we're going after. So I look forward to connecting with you and answering any further questions that you might have. Thanks for your time.
Hi, my name is Sharif Kousa, CEO and founder of Reshift Security. Software has transformed our lives. From our computers, our phones, our cars, even our appliances, software is everywhere. Unfortunately, cyber attacks are also everywhere. The value created by all of that innovative software is being eroded by software vulnerability, costing the economy hundreds of millions of dollars. Why are we very good at creating game-changing software, but very bad at securing that software? Well, the tools that exist today to secure our software were all created between 2002 and 2008, mainly for the security auditor in the enterprise, a model that reflects how we usually do software security, and after-the-fact security, meaning after the software is built and shipped, a model that is ineffective and costly. After-the-fact security doesn't work. That's why we are in this security mess today. Security has to be integrated earlier into the software development lifecycle, when the developers are just starting to write new code. That's the most effective place to integrate security. Developers must start writing secure code. Developers have to own security. Developers are the new security team. However, it is not 2002 anymore. We develop our software totally different today. Things like DevOps, Agile, and cloud technologies push down the whole software development lifecycle from months to minutes, sometimes even less. Companies like Amazon, Facebook, and Shopify are known to push code hundreds of times a day. How do you secure software when the whole lifecycle is measured in minutes? Development speed is just too fast for audit tools to work. And this is not all. Developers are rejecting these tools. These tools are not built for them. It doesn't understand their priorities. It doesn't integrate enough into their existing tools and workflows. It is too slow for them to use and generates way too much false positives to be even effective. So why now? Because we reached a tipping point. A record number of data breaches and cyber attacks through the software layer, which led regulators to act. 3 countries have issued regulations and guidelines that spell out software security just in 2019, causing even more pressure on software developers to ensure security is baked into the code. And developers are ready to take on security, judging by the number of questions on Q&A websites such as Stack Overflow and developer forums such as Reddit. What if every single software development team can continuously ship secure code without doing anything extra? Please meet Reshift. Reshift helps software developers find and automatically fix security vulnerabilities in their custom code without slowing them down. Reshift integrates into developers' existing tools and workflows, minimizing context switching. We have a new scanning technology that minimizes false positives, which is a big turnoff for developers. Reshift does not just find vulnerabilities, it also automatically fixes them, in line with how Google and Facebook do their own application security. Finally, we have a proprietary technology that helps the developers prioritize the vulnerabilities based on their previous actions inside the tool. We launched a minimum viable product in July 2019, joined LSpark, a prominent SaaS-based accelerator in Ottawa, Canada, in October 2019, raised a pre-seed round of financing in January 2020 of $275,000. The feedback has been amazing. Some of our beta clients even chose to pay us, although we do not have a paywall yet. Our go-to-market strategy is to target developers in their own communities. Developers tend to cluster around the tools they are using. We're planning to build integration into these tools and evangelize to them through the tools that they're using. Monetization through a freemium model that is then turned into paying subscription based on features, team sizes, and usage. The DevSecOps market is estimated to be $11.3 billion with a 33.7% compound annual growth rate. One of the noticeable comparables in the market today is Snyk, which is a code security tool that helps developers find and fix vulnerabilities in open source components they're using. Snyk was just valued above $1 billion in January 2020. My name is Sharif Kousa. I'm a software developer by training who fell in love with application security. I worked for Wells Fargo in their central security audit team for 1.5 years, after which I started Software Security, an application security services company that helps developers write and ship secure code, and grew that business to almost $1 million in revenue. Our team is a strong team of 6 that combines software security, software development, machine learning, and growth hacking. We have a strong team of advisors as well, bringing in a lot of experience in marketing to developers, building technology startups, and intellectual property and tech law. For the full Reshift story, please go to reshiftSecurity.com or reach out to me directly. Thank you.
Hey everybody, my name is Kibby Pollock and I'm one of the founders of MyPitboard. Now MyPitboard is a hardware and software technology company that brings real-time feedback to racers and real-time data analytics to race teams. Now when it comes to many different forms of racing, such as motorcycle racing, kart racing, and many more, information is conveyed back to the racer via mechanical pitboard, which is literally just a whiteboard with some writing on it that shows things like lap times and other relevant race time information. But if you're not a professional athlete, you don't always have this guy with you at the practice track who's giving you this real-time lap time feedback. And that's one of the fundamental issues that we saw. What about your everyday amateur athlete who's out there on the practice track, burning gas, grinding, and trying everything, trying new things in different corners and trying new ways of taking certain areas and new techniques. And they're not getting this basic lap time feedback to tell them if what they're doing is actually translating into a faster lap time or not, which is the main metric when it comes to measuring your own performance. It's pretty ridiculous that there's no common solution that exists that automatically gives these riders these feedback. I know this because I worked as a professional mechanic in the professional race industry for over 4 years. And I worked alongside one of our co-founders, a professional racer himself. And together, we couldn't believe a solution like this didn't exist. So that's why we came up with MyPitboard, our own hardware device that does it all. And you're probably wondering to yourself, how come we came up with our own hardware and we're not using a phone app? Well, the first thing that we did was develop a phone app. And we came to two quick realizations. The first realization being people did not want to destroy their $1,000 phones in such a harsh environment. We learned this through testing, destroying multiple phones, seeing them fly off the motorcycle. And another thing is that, it's such a harsh environment and amateurs are constantly crashing or hitting their chest against the handlebars that, they did not want to risk their $1,000 phones. The second thing was that we came up with a series of GPS accuracy and timing variance issues that we just weren't able to solve, and the technology wasn't there yet. So we went to our own hardware to give us full control over this design in order to create the best system with the highest accuracy that we could. And yeah, after tons of hard work, great teamwork, grinding for months on building our own hardware and designing it from scratch, we finally came up with the new MyPitboard system. And today, the device is already out there in over 50 people's hands, and they're testing it and using it, and it's changing the way they ride, and it's been amazing. And the fundamental basis of how we're building MyPitboard or our company is that we want to solve major pain points, but ultimately what we want to do is we want to build a device where when people go out to the racetracks and they forget it at home, that they're pissed. And that is the end goal, and that's what we're trying to do. And so far, a couple of our customers, we've had feedback, and it seems like we're doing a good job at that. So now it's time to make it big and take this product big. And we really think that we're solving it in the most appropriate way. And the team has been putting in so much hard work, and it's been really exciting to see this device used in the field. And now we're just scaling production and getting our digital marketing strategy together based on what's going on right now, and about to launch come May 16th with our first product here. And our product's only going to evolve as we move on. We will then take the data that we're gathering from the GPS system and create continuous monitoring and progress analytics, so the riders can continuously monitor their progress over time at certain tracks and many more features. Another thing that we're doing is that once we have that data on your mobile device, we can create a virtual racing environment, meaning that we can create track leaderboards where people or friends can push their lap time data to a track leaderboard, and friends or other people can download this lap time data or your lap time data and race against you virtually on a device whenever you want. So there's so many things that we can do with the device. But when it comes to the real-time modes that we came up with, we made sure to cover all the grounds on what you're training with. And this device isn't just a great training tool, it can be used in the racing environment and actually provide significant advantages. And yes, this device is legal. So we created 4 real-time modes that cover all the bases. So we have our lap time mode, which just gives you your basic lap times. We have segment mode that allows you to segment off the track into 2 to 5 different segments, and then you can learn really quickly while you're on the track where you're gaining or losing times on what segments. So it's a very, very powerful tool. And section mode, if you're just trying to practice a certain area that you're bad at, which you should be practicing, which generally most people don't, this allows you to split that one section of the track up and just continuously practice it all over again or over and over again without actually having to perform a full lap. Now our whole shot mode is just a mode that races are won or lost based on the start. If you have a great start and you're able to get in front, then you have a good chance of just taking the race by storm and running away with it. It's not always the case, but it increases your odds of winning the race. And so there's nothing more important than practicing your starting technique. As it's 40 riders that could be lined up parallel or in sequence on a grid, your start is races are won and lost in the start. So our whole shot mode allows you to keep practicing your starting technique to make sure you're getting the most optimized start. Now, this device has brought us on quite an adventure already to date, and building your own hardware is hard, but we are moving towards a software end, and the only reason why we're building our own hardware is, like I said, is we've had the trials with the phone app, and the technology just isn't there yet for our higher end GPS accuracy that's needed. And the other thing is that we need a robust IoT device to start building the rest of our system based upon. And so there wasn't an off-the-shelf IoT device that we can use, so we went ahead and built our own. So there's many different avenues that we can build off with on our device. I mean, our initial target market is the off-road motorcycle racing industry, but the device, our device can simply just, this is the mounting system for that industry, but our device can fit across many different platforms. It just requires a new mounting system. So, it can go anywhere between, downhill mountain biking, kart racing, car racing, even cross-country mountain biking. So there's many different avenues we can go with the device, and just all we need to do is tailor a new mounting system. So it's been quite the adventure. The team has been working insanely hard, and it's just been it's been awesome. So we're super happy, and thank you for listening to our business, and we'll see you at the tracks and at the races. See ya.
Hi there, my name is Ali. I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of Nugget.ai. And we produce game-based challenges to help companies hire best fit talent. Now, Nugget was founded 2 years ago, and we've been live in the market for about 12 months today, all working with customers to find one common thread. Now, it takes about 52 days to hire one of every 200 applicants. And when companies invest so much time trying to get this right, putting candidates through multiple stages in the recruitment funnel, one of the most important ones being a case assessment. When they don't get this right, they end up spending about 20 to 60% in annual salary to replace that single employee. Now, this is happening because of 3 different things. Number 1, manual screening tools that companies employ are very subjective and prone to human bias. Second, traditional assessment companies that use traditional assessments do not rely on data-driven methods. And third is that generic assessments are not contextualized to the industry or role that we're actually screening for. Last year, we were able to work on this problem to help companies solve it. We work with educational institutions like the Sherwood School of Business Career Center, GuruLink, which is a mid-sized recruitment agency, and Optimist SBR, a mid-sized consulting company. We've also forged strong partnerships and alliances with Caliper, a major international HR consulting and HR assessment company in the market. This year, we have large enterprise contracts commitments from Labatt and Nestle, working on talent development and talent recruitment initiatives. Now, what we do is we're helping these companies hire best fit talent to reduce turnover. We're seeing our results so far in increasing their quality of hire by 26% and reducing their time to hire by 30%, taking them from 52 days to 36 days of hiring in their cycle today. How it works is extremely simple. Candidates come to our platform and they can take real company challenges to showcase their talents. We have challenges that range from marketing to sales to product development, consulting, software development, data science, etc. So far, we create this content ourselves, but alternatively, we also give companies the opportunity to import their own case assessments that they use on a manual version into our platform, and we'll give them insights on that. All of our challenges currently range from 5 to 30 minutes to take, and we track about 350 data points, measuring how you solve that problem at hand. Second is we measure each candidate's skills and we benchmark them either to the company or to the industry performance standard. We're able to measure and extract those 340 data points to come up with your soft skills and your hard skills. And then third is that we personalize the talent funnel for company need. Companies can use our system to generate personalized links and send them to the candidates that they actually want to send to receive a list of the ones that are best fit for them. And fourth is that we take real-time insights to nudge talent to their best fit roles. We're able to consecutively, in real time, as talent comes into the pipeline, tell you who's the best fit for your team, and our algorithms improve with every decision that's made in real time. The market that we're after with this product is a $32 billion global assessment market that gets poured into recruitment and development. But today, we're after a $3 billion assessment market for recruitment in North America. Now, our secret sauce lies in our ability to take real company challenges, convert open text fields, and generate soft skill insights and domain skill insights about candidate performance. We're real demonstratable skills. Today we see our competition ranging in 3 different segments. 1, companies use manual screening techniques to assess candidates today. This is biased and it's highly prone to human error. Companies existingly use case assessments as a take-home assignment for candidates to do, and they report back to them after they manually review that assessment. We're the digital and more scalable solution behind today's manual case assessments. Second is companies like traditional assessments. These are like Predictive Index and Myers-Briggs. They're biased, they're scientific, but they're not data-driven. Nugget is the algorithm that can real-time screen candidates, improve with every decision made so that the future of work is constantly improving, and our algorithms are able to recognize the skills that are most required, most sought after in the market, and those are the ones that we're able to benchmark you to. And then third are generic assessments like Plum. Plum uses a one-size-fits-all, or companies like Plum use a one-size-fits-all approach, where the same assessment is sent to a software engineer, is sent to a sales associate that you're trying to screen for. Nugget is contextualized and personalized challenges for every role and every industry. This allows our prediction to be extremely higher than these 3 categories, also helping us automate the process of what it takes a manual screening individual recruiter to do on a day-to-day basis. So we're able to do it better, we're able to do it faster for companies. How we make money is simple. This is entirely free for candidates and it's paid for by companies. Now, companies can pay in 3 different tiers. Explore is an opportunity to search and compare based off industry benchmarks where we give you pre-vetted talent. Analytics is a way for companies to own their own personalized talent funnel, and it's a volume-based pricing strategy. For enterprises, we create personalized challenges and correlate to personalized performance objectives in the company, allowing us to factor in multiple different data points and build personalized objective benchmarks for the company. Now, we made $50,000 and across 3 customers in 2019. We have the potential to take this company global, growing to 40,000, 100,000, and 250K MRR over the next 3 years. We're a team of serial entrepreneurs and domain experts. Myself, I'm one of Canada's top 30 under 30 developers, and I sold a product in my last year of school in the educational technology space to start Nugget full-time. Before that, I was working for RBC in product and innovation teams. Marianne and Melissa are both PhD IO psychologists that work with us full-time, in-house, and they're dedicated to the product, research, and assessments of our product. Gilson is a serial entrepreneur as well, taking a company from 7 employees to 700 after finally exiting and growing the company globally. Sheeman is a data scientist and also a PhD candidate at the University of Vanderbilt, completing his studies in psychometric data science. He currently leads our algorithms today. We also have an advisory board that is helping us grow into different markets. And we're Nugget.ai. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for the opportunity to do this pitch remote. I would love to welcome any questions, whether that's virtually, and hopefully we can engage in some kind of discussion. Look forward to hearing back. Thank you.
I'm Scott Wright, CEO of ClickArmor. ClickArmor is a continuous cybersecurity awareness platform that addresses one of the most critical business problems that exist today, and that is phishing and social engineering of employees. And we do that using gamification. You might not realize it, but right now we are in a cyber winter, and it's going to get worse. It's going to get much worse. And I know that because 90% of security breaches are now related to employee actions, whether it's negligence, accidents, or even just lack of knowledge of security procedures. And 50% of businesses have reported having a security breach in the last year. It's even worse for small businesses because 60% of small businesses that have a security breach fail within 6 months. So the attackers are getting really good at zeroing in on the vulnerabilities within any business. Now, we didn't just come up with ClickArmor recently because of some trend. 10 years ago, as a security engineer, I was noticing that we were spending a lot of money on securing networks and computers and software, but nobody was investing in securing what I call the human endpoints, or the people. And I knew that it wouldn't be long before attackers would start targeting the employees to get around all of the technical security stuff. And at the same time, what's happened in the last 10 years is the training that's provided to employees to try and protect against cyber threats has really not been designed from a defensive point of view. Think about martial arts. If you were to take karate, how would you do if you just did a 30-minute whiteboard session? You wouldn't defend yourself very well in a dark alley. You need to go in and practice and get to know how to defend, how to recognize the threats that are coming at you. And it's exactly the same for cybersecurity. Nobody is practicing and nobody is motivated right now. So that's why we developed ClickArmor with gamification as a core to engage employees to come and learn about cyber threats and take fun challenges and simulations that will help them recognize things when they see them in the real world. On top of that, we're actually providing data to management about the vulnerability of their staff so they can make good decisions. The long-term vision is that we have deep analytical data around all of the employees' vulnerabilities from their behavior within this gamified environment. Now, you might wonder, why do we need continuous security awareness? Well, it's a good question, but we actually have a number of reasons. First of all, security is a pretty complex field. There are a lot of different concepts, and we try to distill it down. In most courses, you get it in 30 minutes, but it really only barely touches most of those topics. So in order to really understand them and defend against a risk situation, you really need to spend some time going back in and practicing, as I said. So we've set up a gamification environment that lets you focus on things like phishing for 1 or 2 months before you move on to social engineering. And so with that in mind, it's going to take you 6 months to a year just to cover all of the security essentials that you need to know as an employee to be able to defend yourself. It only takes a few minutes a day or a few minutes a week, but it really is a continuous process. And we want to build security culture, which reinforces all of these concepts within a social environment at work. Now, every employee in every business needs to defend against cyber threats. That's a given. But where will we start? We're starting with the small businesses because, as I said before, most of them will go under if they have a security breach. So they really need to make a change to their employees' behavior now. And that's not something that the traditional learning management systems can really provide. So we are focusing on the highest risk areas for small businesses. In fact, we were building an assessment capability and a challenge that we would provide to people for free on the internet. It's called canibefished.com. We were building that just in the past month, and then the pandemic came and changed everything, but in a way that refocused us so that we could look at how everybody is moving to working from home now. And the attackers noticed that too. You'll see newsletters, news stories that say there are new threats, cyber scams and phishing attacks that are targeting people because they're working at home and they really have a whole different security environment than they were used to at work. And the attackers are doing really well in that environment. So all that to say, we really want to help these small businesses, and anybody who wants to can go to the canibefished.com website and test their skills for free. And it'll give you an idea whether you're good enough at spotting suspicious links and senders in a phishing message, or if you might need some refreshers. So have a look at that. On top of this, we're actually serving now over 250 paying customers that are using ClickArmor, and the results have been really impressive because employees and managers have all been telling us that it's exceeded their expectations. It's more fun than they thought it would be. It provides more knowledge than they thought they would have, and it actually provides some social interaction to build that security culture that's really important. So when you step back and you realize this is a brand new war, we need new weapons and new techniques to defend against cyber attacks, ClickArmor really is the only platform that can provide gamification to engage employees and motivate them to do repeated practice at defending and becoming proficient at spotting cyber attacks and avoiding them. So go to clickarmor.ca for more information and try canibefished.com. I'm Scott Wright.
In a study conducted by the Higher Education Research Institute, 42% of students feel overwhelmed by the extent of their assigned homework, projects, and other evaluations. Schools spend on average over $2,000 on the printing and distribution of agendas, yet 41% of students still believe that they do not have an effective source to help them manage their busy schedules. Students and educators deserve a resource that will help them manage their time while also providing them a variety of resources to help them succeed.
How do we solve these problems?
Technological advancements occur every day in modern society. We are constantly striving to find new and innovative solutions to problems. High school students are the next generation of change. We deserve the best resources and learning methods to thrive and succeed. Team Rocket has created the innovative app Saga that will help confront these challenges.
Saga!
Saga is a multifunctional app that serves as a mobile database and provides students with a variety of educational resources at their fingertips. But we also provide a personalized schedule and other productivity features. Check this out.
Saga works as a mobile database that provides users with a variety of textbooks, articles, notes, and past test papers. In addition, Saga will also keep track of all upcoming events and create personalized reminders for the users to remain organized.
As a first step, Saga will be available to Ontario high school students ranging from the grades 9 to 12. When we did our personal research, we found that 132 students out of 178 preferred a digital planner over a paper one. Saga will provide a solution to these modern sets of challenges.
Applications such as ManageBack only provide students with digital calendars, whereas other products like Bookshelf and Texidium only provide users with textbooks and articles. We are set apart from current educational softwares by being the first to provide an all-in-one solution for students and educators. We provide a variety of resources, time management tools, and our app is easy to access.
Saga will be free to download on the App Store, but profit will be made off a subscription basis. Private customers will pay $3.99 per month. However, our primary target consumers are schools and school boards who wish to purchase Saga on a mass level. Their prices will be $5.99 per student per year. In order to moderate the needs of high school students across Ontario, we believe that we are selling these tools at a fair and affordable price. Using these methods, Saga will be generating a profit that will grow exponentially.
How will we get customers?
Saga will be branded as an app made for Ontario high school students and educators as a center for educational resources and a time management tool. We will advertise on large teenage consumer-based apps such as Instagram and Facebook. After creating a presence on social media, majority of promotion will be done from word of mouth. Not only does it provide a variety of textbooks, articles, notes, and past test papers, but it also helps manage classrooms and the student workload.
As high school students ourselves, we too understand the struggle of managing our workloads while finding reliable educational resources. That's why we believe that Saga is the most innovative and efficient solution to provide thriving students with a variety of educational resources while also helping them manage their stressful lives. Saga,
we will take you to the next chapter.
Hi everyone, my name is Alberto Aguilar and I'm the COO of Relomigo, where we simplify your employees' relocation. As we all know, we live in an era where talent is scarce. Companies are having difficulty finding talent locally, which means they have to look outside of their city, province, or even their country. There's been an increase in effort in improving an employee's onboarding. One thing that people overlook when hiring an employee is that the onboarding begins when the employee sends a letter of offer, not on their first day at the office. Now companies are hiring outside their city and facing a multitude of challenges. Missing out on talent is one of them. As a potential employee to your team, they'll have a vast amount of job offers with similar salaries and benefits, and no key differentiators to make your company stand out. Turnover due to poor employee experience. 70% of failed relocations are due to the families of the employees not integrating properly. costing the corporation an average of $65,000 according to the Canadian Employee Relocation Council for a failed relocation. If the employee feels lost and unattended, they'll feel discomfort and go back to what's familiar to them. Next, we got the low employee productivity. In their first day at the office, your employee won't be able to fully focus on their work. They'll have homes to search, viewings to attend, and family needs to take care of during their first month after their arrival. Your new team member won't be at its fullest potential, affecting the corporation's performance and their team integration. In the fall of last year, Fellow.app was looking to hire a software developer from overseas. They have hired a talent acquisition company to do the search for them, but they managed to find several candidates. Unfortunately, their problem wasn't solved. All these candidates had several options, and they were hesitant to accept the job offer due to the relocation aspect. We approached the CEO and suggested to offer a relocation package in his job offer. Alex, from Russia, noticed this key differentiator and accepted the job offer instantly. Out of all of the opportunities that he had, this was the only company offering assistance with his biggest challenge. We proceeded to contact Alex to begin the onboarding process. We took in consideration all of his needs and lifestyle details to start setting up his new life here in Canada. From finding an ideal home to educating him on the public transit routes and taking care of his wife's needs, Alex and his wife were going to arrive in Canada with no worries. Upon their arrival, we dropped them off directly to their new home, assisted them by getting their SIN number and opening their bank accounts. His wife was even able to continue her yoga classes the next day. Just a week after their arrival, Alex began his first day at the office. He had no worries behind his mind and was excited to meet the fellow team and start his new chapter. Throughout the entire process, we kept the CEO updated with the progress of his new employee. He had full insights of what was going on and had peace of mind that everything was progressing at a fast pace. Today, Alex and his wife are happily living in their new home, have fully integrated in the Canadian environment, and the CEO's expectations of his employee have exceeded. So how did Relomigo make this relocation so seamless and stress-free? We have 3 different stages in our process. The first one being the pre-arrival services, where we set up their lifestyles remotely. Using our software, they're able to find a home, view the home, sign the lease, set up moving arrangements, and set up their entire lives for them and their families. Next, all the documentation assistance. Upon their arrival, we'll have helped them already with their SIN numbers, bank accounts, driver's license, any sort of documentation to be transferred from their local country into ours. And finally, we have the post-arrival services, where we'll be picking them up at the airport, giving them a tour of the city to orientate them around, and making sure to assist them within the first couple of weeks so they can feel comfortable and integrated here. So our business model consists on the business paying us based on the package that they choose, ranging from the pre-arrival that costs almost $1,000 up to the post-arrival that's nearly $2,500. Next, we got our competition. So our company consists of realtors and mobility services. At Relomigo, we stand in between, taking care of both needs, but focusing on the employee experience. For the realtors, their main goal is to solely find the employee the right home, while the mobility service takes care of the physical moving aspect. Neither markets focus on employees and their families' needs when it comes to relocating to the new city or country. The total market size here in Canada is of $4.3 billion, while the corporate relocation market is of $2.5 billion. Our addressable market that we're targeting is of $250 million in Canada alone. Finally, our timeline. In 2017, we founded Your Dorm, where we focus on helping international students move to Canada and finding them a home. We successfully relocated over 100 international students in the regions of Ottawa, Toronto, Montreal, and Kingston. In April of 2019, we rebranded the company to Relomigo and shifted our focus to corporate relocation while also building our new technology. In August 2019, we began our test pilots with companies and got amazing feedback on our product, which allowed us to proceed to, on November 2019, to have paying customers, such as Kinaxis, Fellow, Hoppier, and much more. Unfortunately, in 2020, we got hit with the coronavirus COVID-19, and the Canadian border have been closed to any non-residents, stopping our operations. Our clients are currently on standby, awaiting for the ban to be lifted and allow their new employees to enter the country. Our next goal is to reach out to these companies as well who are waiting for the new employees to enter the country, as we'll be able to assist them with the relocations and take a big stressor away from these companies. Finally, we got our team. We got our CEO, who's Mokhtar Yusuf. We got our CTO, who's Joel Capongo, and the COO, myself, Alberto Aguilar. What we ask from you today is an introduction to companies that you may know that offer relocations to their employees. anyone who may be hiring from offshore are a great target for us. It would be also greatly appreciated if you could reach out to us and give us these introductions. On a side note, we've done our first round of investments to friends and family and raised $100,000. And now we're proceeding to do our second round of $250,000 to be able to expand our borders and frontiers to be able to target most of the Canadian market. Thank you for listening today, and I hope the best for everyone here. Please do stay safe and clean your hands.
Hello everyone, this is Gwen Malbec and I'm the CEO at Freightpath. And before I start sharing our story with you, I want to thank Elspark for the opportunity to pitch in front of you today, and be thankful as well that we're able to keep on doing it online during those interesting times. So, what is Freightpath? Freightpath is a technology that helps trucking and logistics businesses to grow in a better way. Rather than just going too much into details about the technicality of Freightpath, I want to share someone's experience, one of our clients' experience. I want you to meet Dedrick Mars. Dedrick is the owner of a Texas hotshot transportation business. His goal is to be able to make as much money as possible from shipments he's working from, and reduce the admin burden of sharing back and forth the calls. His biggest issue right now is that he's losing up to 50% margin due to intermediaries when he's not going direct to shippers, and the other burden is 2 to 4 hours per day spent into admin burden, creating documentation, reporting back and forth the status on all of these shipments. So we created Freightpath for that very reason, and what Freightpath does is 3 things exceptionally well. The first one is to be able to dispatch shipments to your drivers or to external carriers. Then is to be able to track and trace all the shipments and the inventory of that shipments in real-time basis. And finally, we get all this information that we allow to share collaboratively with the shippers and carriers involved using our customer portal. This is what difference Freightpath makes in our clients' life. They see up to 25% increase in new business because now they have more time to just reach out to shippers. They are making 30% increased margin on their revenue. And finally, they free up to a third of their time that is not spent anymore into repetitive tasks and not added value tasks such as answering the phone or writing documents. Who do we target as a market? People like Dedrick are planning in North America, and you have for a fact of more than 500,000 businesses that are running at the scale of Dedrick or up to 10 trucks in North America. So the total serviceable market in North America is $3 billion worth of revenue. But if we look at the total addressable market, we're talking about $25 billion market worldwide. The way we get access to these persons is very simple and pretty best practice. We have leads that we find in many different places that we're able to convert into MQLs at a rate of 21%. We also use those MQLs and bring them into our opportunities funnel and sales funnels at a rate of 10% that we're able to close those MQLs. So we are consistently working on optimizing those numbers, but it's been proven to work quite well so far for us. So these funnel is also leveraging at the end our SaaS pricing and business model, where we offer 3 different tiers to our customers. We have the entry level with a limited number of shipments at $300 a month. We have a business plan at $700 a month, and we have $1,500 USD a month for enterprise grade customers, where we're able to add some more customization, integrations, and obviously more volume as well for the shipments. We do that with a very robust team. So for myself, I've been able to work for more than 10 years working in SaaS product and technologies, specifically in the domain of transportation management and project management as well. So I've been working with in delivering projects for up to $20 million and dealing with a team of 30 plus. I'm working with Dan Imbronio, like our CTO, that is a very experienced like a developer as well, has been creating some companies in the past, specifically creating technology for e-commerce and transportation field using different technical stacks. And finally, Terry Wong has great experience into building pipelines and leading teams as well. He's very analytical and provides us like the best data around our marketing. Our story started 3 years ago with some research and development and how we can make an impact on the market. It was back in 2017. A year later, we've been able to and lucky enough to partner with North Ontario, North Ontarian 3PL logistics service business specialized into the mining world that allowed us to bulletproof and to make our product way more robust. Finally, that brought us to last October when we finally started commercialization and reached out to this market we were sharing with you earlier today. And to this date, 6 months in, we've been able to close 19 customers, paying customers, and are envisioning for the next, for the mid 2020 to reach 50 customers. By the end of 2020, we're looking at a $50,000 monthly recurring revenue, along with 150 customers. And finally, our strategy is to really become very good in that vertical of carriers and small trucking and logistics companies. And then in 2022, evolve into more of a play for shippers as well, which will help us generating more revenue. We've been lucky enough to bootstrap that business since the very beginning of it, leveraging our friends and families. Key numbers of on our finances is the customer acquisition cost is around 280 Canadian dollars right now, and we have a payback period which is pretty quick of right under a month, and with a contract lifetime value of $3,600 US. I'm really happy you've been spending the time with us today. Appreciate all questions you might have for us. Feel free to ask them into the chat. I'll be happy to answer them. And join us at Freightpath, the better way to grow your trucking business.
Hey everyone, hope you're all doing well and staying healthy. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Chase Irwin. I'm a partner at Dentons Canada in our firm's Venture Technology and Emerging Growth Companies group, as well as co-lead of Dentons Canada's startup program. I'm proud to be part of this event. A very big thank you and kudos to the entire LSpark team, including all of its organizers, sponsors, and supporters, for pushing forward with the SaaS Showcase remotely to allow us to celebrate everyone involved and remain connected. Dentons is a proud supporter of LSpark and the tech community as a whole. Denton's global venture tech team supports startups of all stages, from startup to exit, and our team has direct experience to support entrepreneurs at all levels. We're extremely active in the space and are very honored to be a sponsor of this worthwhile event. I'm particularly thrilled to introduce our SaaS Showcase remote keynote speaker, Carol Leaman, CEO of Axonify. Carol is an award-winning entrepreneur and thought leader with an impressive track record of successfully leading tech companies. Not only is she a disruptor in the corporate learning space, but she's also the brains behind the Axonify Microlearning Platform. Prior to Axonify, Carol was the CEO of PostRank, a social engagement analytics platform she sold to Google. Carol is a celebrated entrepreneur and trailblazer, whose articles appear in leading learning, business, and technology publications. So without further delay, I'm pleased to introduce Carol as the keynote speaker today, and a very large congrats to all presenting companies. Thanks very much.
Hi, everybody. This is Carol Leaman, CEO of Axonify, coming to you on Sunday night from Waterloo, Ontario. I'm sorry that we all can't be together, but this is a great way to hold the conference anyway. And I'm going to run through with you over the next 20 minutes or so a little bit about my journey as an entrepreneur. And hopefully there is a nugget or there for each of you and in all of that. And if you have any questions at all, I'd be happy to connect with any of you afterwards. If I have any thoughts, ideas, comments, questions, I'm happy to do that. So I'm going to flip to my presentation now and share my screen. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to spend about 20 minutes, as I said, running you through my career and all of the things that that I've done that that I think have informed each new thing that I've done. And we're going to start with where it all started. I grew up in Ottawa, went to UW, became a chartered accountant, or what's now a CPA, joined KPMG and did my formal articling education, then joined a company called Electrohome, which at the time was one of Canada's largest public companies. And that really kicked off my journey as an entrepreneur because we bought a company in California called Fakespace, and I ultimately became the CEO of that company. It was about 20 people when we started, and it really launched me on that path of being an entrepreneur, which I always knew I wanted to be. Fakespace led to RSS Solutions. I sold Fakespace and then was recruited to run another early stage technology company that was distressed for their investors. And I did that, built it, sold it a few years later, and then joined Communitech as their first executive in residence and started the EIR program when Communitech was about 10 people. And helped Ian Klugman build that. And it was through that activity that I ended up investing in and then going to run a tiny little company called PostRank, which I sold a few years later to Google. And when I sold it to Google, I bought Axonify from the entrepreneurs there. And I'm going to talk about each of these little journeys and tell you the lessons that I've learned from each of them, which have led me to today. So even before Ottawa, I'll go back and say that I was born actually in a tiny little fishing village in a place called Bjorn, Newfoundland. So you see the arrow there on the south coast of Newfoundland, not exactly where a lot of entrepreneurs come from, but you can be an entrepreneur regardless of where you come from. And when I was 4 years old, my dad, who was in the RCMP, was posted to Ottawa, and then I moved to Southern Ontario when I went to university and never looked back. When I was a teenager, I was inspired by this woman. She really is the person that I credit with launching me on that entrepreneur's journey. I watched her as a teenager and was quite intrigued by the huge conglomerate that she had built in hard goods, in print media, in television media. And when I show this picture, nobody guesses who it is, but this is who it was. It was Martha Stewart. Again, usually a surprise to everybody. And I don't know what it was about Martha when I was a teenager that really did intrigue me so much. I think it was her success as a woman. It was her take no prisoners attitude. It was, she was one of very few successful women in business in terms of role models. But there was something about her that just really spoke to my inner being and sparked me to have this realization, literally when I was 17 years old, that I was going to be the CEO of companies. That was my destiny. Don't know why, but I give Martha all the credit for really formulating that idea in my head, and I took it from there. So the journey has led me on many, many unexpected twists and turns along the way, and each one I can tell you I didn't plan. I didn't, try to manufacture. I didn't worry about. I don't know why, but at every point at which a decision needed to be made about the next stage in my career, it just happened. And I made a decision sometime many years ago to just enjoy the ride, take whatever was coming at me, and then enjoy it and work with it to the best of my ability, and it would lead me to the next thing. So, as I mentioned, I went to University of Waterloo, got my CPA only because I was dating a guy going to Waterloo in accounting for no other reason, and then did my articling with KPMG. And it was through that I really realized I wasn't a great accountant, but I loved business. And it really honed me in on that. I want to be in a company. And so one day, as it happened, my client, Electrohome, my audit client, invited me to join them in their corporate finance group. And so I went ahead and did that, took the leap, even though I was actually quite scared. KPMG, for many of you who don't know, any accounting firm, it's a very homogenous environment. You all have the same education, you have the same designation, you're working on the same kind of work. It's very, very homogenous and very steady in many respects. And I took the leap to Electrohome to go into a business that had many different sorts of businesses. In fact, Electrohome, being a 100-year-old company, had built over decades anything electric for the home, and were quite famous for their large console television sets and record players and various things. Many of you would have grandparents who probably owned some of these beautiful pieces of furniture that had electronics in them. When I got there, they were in 3 businesses. They owned a very large share of the CTV television network, radio stations, so a lot of broadcast assets. They had a monitor business. We built the first display monitors, multi-monitors for Bloomberg in New York. And they had a very sizable projection systems business, which ultimately we sold to Christie Digital, that you would see on Wellington Street today. Electrohome was a crazy time in my career. I was very young, probably 26 when I went there. And what I didn't realize was, after coming out of this very homogenous, steady environment at KPMG, I went to work for somebody at Electrohome who was, frankly, an awful person. He was in his mid-30s, very, very high IQ, very low on social skills, and was an absolute beast at work every day. And I watched him, humiliate people regularly, destroy people's confidence, do terrible things to people in the workplace every day. And I often had people ask me how I could withstand it. Frankly, I was too young. I didn't know better. I just put my head down. I was a very quiet, shy person. And I didn't know any better. And so I just took it. And ultimately he got fired, but he taught me many lessons along the way. And, the biggest one was treat people well to get the best out of them. I worked for Dan for probably 7 years, and over that time realized you never get the best out of people when you're yelling at them, when you are expressing in a public way displeasure, if you don't give them credit, if you, despite good work that they're doing, find a way to bring them down. That never works, and it's not the person you want to be. So, my perspective that I learned was be helpful. If you can't be helpful, at least be a human being. Treat people in a way that you want to be remembered. Don't treat people like they're, they work for you. That did not work for him, and was in fact the reason that he got fired. I will say that over those 7 years, and I said this to him after he left, he taught me many things. One was he gave me huge confidence because he had me work on transactions I had no business working on. I had to learn everything, and I did it with extreme fear, but my learning curve was massive. He also taught me how never to treat another human being at work to get the best out of them. So I said to him when he was finished, you were the best of my career and you were the worst of my career, because I did live many of those years in abject fear, day in and day out, and it's just not the place you want anybody to be. I withstood it. I built up the body armor and the backbone, and both of those things have served me extremely well through the years, but I wouldn't put anybody else through that ever. So I left a lecture home to go to Fakespace, formerly the subsidiary that we had bought during the dot-com boom. And Fakespace was a very high-end virtual reality company that we sold many large pieces of equipment to things like government, military applications, research applications in universities and research institutes. Companies like General Motors, who were designing cars in virtual reality. So super cool products. Everybody thought virtual reality, and this would have been back in 98, 99, we were all going to have it in our homes within 2 years for entertainment. It just didn't happen like that. And ultimately, I ran Fakespace for a number of years as CEO and got approached by a direct competitor to sell the business. And I did that in the early 2000s. And I elected to stay with the combined organization, which really, really taught me some other hard lessons. First of all, culture really does matter. We at Fakespace had a great culture. It was very open, transparent, respectful, encouraging, even in the face of adversity. And turns out that the guy that I sold the company to didn't feel that way about people. He didn't trust anybody. And so he looked at everybody as not working hard enough, not spending his money in the way that he thought it should be spent, and instituting policies and procedures really designed to clamp down on the one person that was going to do something wrong every day. And it was just a fundamental difference in philosophy and perspective about how people come to work every day. And as I said to him, I trust people. I believe at my core that everybody comes to work wanting to do great work every single day, and that they want career growth, they want to be recognized, they want to add value, they want to tangibly move the ball up the field. They don't want to come to work and do nothing. And so how you think about it and how you treat people really goes to that core belief. And so in the end, a year later, I decided to leave. But one of the other lessons I learned, interestingly, was that market size matters. This was a big lesson in that. We bought Fakespace when the market globally for virtual reality technology was about $100 million. There were 5 companies in the world selling what we sold, and we were the leader. And we were pretty equal with the competitor I sold the company to, I should say. And so in selling the company, we were going to create the behemoth, the gorilla on the block. But what I didn't appreciate at the time was it still wasn't going to make the global market for what we had to sell any bigger, faster. And so the constraint of the cost of the technology meant the market stayed small. So when you're thinking about your markets, you really, really have to do a detailed analysis of your truly addressable target market. And I can tell you 20 years ago, investors weren't paying nearly as much attention to that as they do today. If you don't have your homework done and really understand the market for your ideal customer profile that you're going to sell your business, your product to, you're not going to be able to raise capital, and you won't grow the business. So that was a huge lesson there. And then the other thing was knowing when to jump to your next opportunity. There was a day that the guy I sold the company to and I had a conversation having to do with how to treat payroll. And it was one of those situations where we had a fundamental difference about the way we were going to pay people. And I just knew that was it. It was time for me to pull the chute. So, you need to trust your gut where that's concerned as well. Know when it's time to give up. Know when it's time to move on, whether it's pivoting your product, folding your business, getting rid of people that are dragging you down. Trust your gut and know when it's time generally to move on. That was a big lesson for me. So I moved on to a company called RSS Solutions, which was venture invested, private equity invested, founded by three brothers and their father. And it was struggling. 50 people, $1 million of revenue, and they just didn't know what to do. And I ran that business for just over 2 years. And my mission was to get it turned around and get it sold on behalf of the investors. And I can tell you it was 2 years of heavy lifting, which started with week one, where I discovered that payroll on Friday for $140,000 wasn't going to be made because we only had $70,000 in the bank. And I had to personally write a check for $70,000 week one to make payroll. And that type of discovery happened pretty much every week that I was there over 2 years, culminating with the week I was selling the business, having a developer show up saying that he was owed commission on every sale we had made since he had joined 3 years earlier, because his employment contract had a clause where he had brought to the company a few lines of code that were embedded in the product and that he had negotiated a commission around. This was news to me. So that was 2 years for me of finding things out about how not to run a business and what not to agree to, and fixing along the way just so that I could get in a position of selling it. And I encountered so many things I don't have time to go into here about things not to do, but many, many lessons. The first one being cash matters. And I can tell you, excuse me, in this crisis that we're in with COVID right now, I know many of you are experiencing panic around your cash situation. Always make sure you're not getting way ahead of your skis, out on your skis, and know precisely when you're going to be cash out, and manage your business and your product and your sales, or at least getting some traction with that in mind. Cash runs out way faster than anybody expects. So you need to understand where it's going and where it's coming from. And I can tell you, with us at Axonify today, I am so glad that I have that philosophy, because it's going to hold us in very good stead as we weather this storm. So you need to be thinking about these unexpected things and managing your business not right up to the line. The second lesson I learned there was character matters. And again, without going into details, there were a number of people in that business who just lacked character. And there is a lot of research, a lot of study now that is going on about character, and character as it relates to leadership. And I would say this to those of you who want to be leaders or who are leaders. Just Google that and read about character and what real character is. Real character shows up in leadership because it manifests itself in lots of characteristics and behavior. And if you want people to trust you, you want people to truly want to be led by you, you need good, strong character. So that was RSS Solutions, and I sold that business, as I said, to an Atlanta-based Georgia company, and then went on to take a couple of years off and work with a whole bunch of early stage companies in Waterloo region. And it was a really invigorating 10 months of meeting lots and lots of early stage entrepreneurs of many ages, many different kinds of businesses. And it really also helped inform me in terms of what I wanted to do next and what I thought was viable and what I didn't think was viable. So a few lessons here. First, I saw so many entrepreneurs get into business with their friends or family members, and then it became a struggle. And why? They all went into it with the best of intentions, but the reality is people work with different levels of energy and effort. And if you're with your family and your friends, you need to have it sorted at the outset about what's going to happen if things don't work out. And if you don't have those sort of rules of engagement mapped out and codified in writing ahead of time, if you ever get to the point where you need to have a breakup, you end up putting it off and it becomes very, very bad, and it can really, really harm the business. So just think those things through and be really careful about who you decide to start the business with and what your roles are and what authority and responsibility each of you has. And where you have the opportunity to look outside and bring experienced people in, don't delay. Get experience on board as fast as you possibly can. It will pay you so many dividends. Don't cheap out. Don't find the cheapest person that you think can grow into a role. Find the best person you can find, and you will find a way to cut a deal with them if they're passionate about what you have going on. The other things, couple of things I learned, well, speaking of the second lesson that you see here on the slide, no one is going to hand you your passion. You need to be truly passionate about your business, and if you are, it shows. It shows to investors, it shows to other people you're looking to bring in the business. You need to recognize that you feel so passionate about something that you really truly are all in every single day. And then back to the first point here, unfortunately, many entrepreneurs aren't fundable. And I watched entrepreneurs come and meet with me day in and day out, and I started to be able to pick off the ones that I knew would be fundable and the ones that I knew, despite having a great idea, would not be fundable. And it's really hard to tell somebody that. But if you keep meeting with investors, if you truly believe you have the best idea ever, and people are telling you that, but you're not able to raise capital, sometimes it's you. And I hate to say that. And you need to start thinking about bringing somebody else into the business to help you get over that hurdle. Well, Communitech led me to meeting a young fourth-year computer science student named Ilya Grigorik, who was a genius young man. And he had this really cool social media metrics monitoring idea that he was getting off the ground and starting to raise capital around. So alongside a number of investors, I also became an angel investor. And 3 months later, he asked me to come and run the company. And so I did that for about 3.5 years before, out of the blue, one day, Google came and offered to buy PostRank. So we sold the company to Google in June of 2011. And the 3.5 years I was there were a whole other series of lessons building a very, very different business. So PostRank was founded in 2007. And that was at a time where Facebook was brand new, Twitter had just been launched. I am literally the 100,000th account user at Twitter, which now has hundreds of millions of people globally, and many other social networks we were hooked into, and we were adding them as each of them got launched. So super cool company, leading edge stuff. And Google was interested in it a few years later. So the lessons there, though, were interesting. Ilya, being such a genius young man and really no business experience, didn't appreciate the fact that we couldn't just continue to raise millions of dollars of capital and experiment with the technology and not have a product that customers were very, willing to buy and pay money for. And so it came to a point where he and I had to have several testy conversations around the fact that if I had to go raise capital again and we didn't have a product to sell, we haven't productized the technology, that his ownership in the business was going to be ground down remarkably, substantially. And it was finally that conversation that got through to him, and he realized we needed a product. So the product I wanted him to build was an analytics product that was very much like Google Analytics, except for the social web. So the team turned their attention to building that, and ultimately that is what we sold to Google. It's why Google was interested in buying us. So the lesson, it's not a science experiment, and perfect is the enemy of good. You can perfect and perfect and perfect and just do one more thing, add one more feature. You'll never get launched. And by the way, you probably won't have the right thing for the market, and you're going to need to change it anyway. So the concept of MVP, you've got to have enough meat there for sure, but the concept of MVP is a sound one. And do it as quickly as you can, and then iterate with real customer feedback. That leads me to Axonify. About 6 months before PostRank came to an end with Google, I was connected to the founders of Axonify through our common corporate lawyer. He said he had a client, they had this little piece of code, they had a customer for it, and they didn't know what to do with it. And so I said, sure, happy to meet with them and mentor. And to my great surprise, they were late 60s. They had a marketing business, nowhere near a software technology business, and they had acquired a customer for this piece of code in the US called the Pet Boys, a large retailer, $2 billion retailer, that had a problem with their associate behavior that was causing them to lose about $100 million a year in two specific areas. So John and Rebecca Short came up with this idea. The Pet Boys vice president, who was in charge of this area of loss, bought it. They rolled it out to 20,000 people, and lo and behold, in the first year, saved $40 million. And so that's when John and Rebecca came to me and said, we have this thing. We don't know what to do with it. We've tried to sell it to other retailers. We can't. Can you help us? So I was quite intrigued by what they had, although I will say when I looked at it, it was super ugly and really simple. And I thought, really? I can't believe this thing actually works. But I interviewed the Pet Boys guy, and he convinced me that it worked. And so I continued to help them on the side. And when Google came to buy PostRank a few months later, I had a choice. Go to Google with my team, or buy Axonify. And so what I ended up doing was buying the code, the customer, and I took 2 employees from John and Rebecca and started over from scratch. I brought a business partner in and got funded, and then we hired a team of developers, re-architected from scratch, and relaunched Axonify in September of 2012. So we've been going since September of 2012. We are now US $30 million ARR company that is very grateful to have some of the world's largest companies as our customers, the Walmarts, the Lowe's, the home improvement store, lots and lots of big retailers, along with big pharma companies like Merck and Johnson & Johnson and AstraZeneca. Many, many companies that you would recognize. And that initial use case of the Pet Boys was so informative to me about how I could build out the product roadmap to provide a really compelling learning experience for an individual employee. And my intuition was right. So what are the lessons I've learned since being here at Axonify over these last 8 or 9 years? First is know your risk tolerance. One thing I will say is I am extremely high risk. I'm a big risk taker, but it goes to that last lesson. I trust my gut implicitly. If something feels right and I truly believe I can do it, regardless of the risk, I will generally err on the side of taking the risk. The other big lesson is that I learned, so the business partner I brought in was a friend of mine in the community who also happens to be female. And I learned that great women want to be around great women. And so we have very naturally attracted to our business lots of females who are amazing, to the point where naturally we've evolved to having a 50-50 split almost between the women and men in the business, and not through targeting women or doing anything unnatural. It's just evolved that way. So I would suggest to those of you who are women, just surround yourself with a great balance of people, and it will feed on itself. And if you're a man, hire a great woman or two, and they will attract other great women, and you'll end up with a fantastic balance in your business. So here's my leadership team, with the exception of one who wasn't there that day. And I can tell you, I say to them all the time, I am never the smartest person in the room. They all run their areas of the business so incredibly well. I trust them implicitly, and it works. They are mature, they're thoughtful, they're all pulling on the rope in the same direction. They are an amazing group of people, and I feel totally privileged to work with them every single day. This was a case of me going out and finding the best people I could find to run the areas of the business where we needed senior leadership, and they do just a fantastic job. So a few final lessons for you. First of all, don't mistake kindness for weakness. And I say this to the women listening. Women tend to be very self-critical, lacking in confidence, afraid that their softness or kindness will be interpreted for weakness. And I can say to you, I am kind. I am a human. I appreciate everything about people and their lives and the challenges they have. And I don't feel the need to be anybody other than who I am, which is a woman. And I am also not weak. I do not lack confidence. I do not lack the intestinal fortitude to make the decisions that I make, but I do everything as just a kind, normal person. And you can too. The other thing I have learned is you do get what you want by being gentle, applying that pressure gently, calmly, and firmly. You don't need to yell. You don't need to pull the I'm the CEO card. You don't need to overpower or overwhelm people. But people will trust you as a leader if you are steady, and if you are calm, and if you are confident, and if you give them the rope to execute. They will be able to make mistakes and feel okay about then changing course and doing the next thing. So you don't need to be a jerk, and you will get your way. And then finally, if you're good, you don't need to hide it. If you're excellent, you don't need to shout it. And the people that matter, the people who care about what you're doing and who you are and how you're behaving, will know. And I say to people all the time who are concerned about title and power and authority and how quickly they get recognized when they do things and how much they get recognized when they do things. I have never in my career sought out a title, asked for a raise, asked for recognition for anything. All I have ever done is worked as hard as I could, exercised the best judgment that I could, treated the people I worked with humor, with humility, with just being myself. And every single time I had an opportunity come to me, it was because people knew they could rely on me to do the best I could do. Not necessarily the right thing every time. I make mistakes all the time. But they trusted that I would do the best that I could do. And I never needed to shout that. So you will get far as a leader. You will get far in your company by just doing that. Don't worry about you. Worry about the work you do and how you present to other people. That's all that matters. And that's it. So if you do have any questions for me, if you want to dive deeper in anything, I'm always happy to share my experience. I'm always happy to take a call, or if you're in Waterloo region and want to come in for a meeting, just let me know. And I look forward to meeting some or all of you at some point. Thanks for listening, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it.
Hi, everyone. My name is Steph Reed, and I'm the Senior Marketing Manager at Allspark. I want to thank you on behalf of the entire Allspark team for tuning in to our very first SaaS Showcase remote. Thank you to all of our founders who were so quick to adapt and who helped us make this event possible on such short notice. And a very special thank you to Carol Leaman for her incredible virtual keynote. As always, these things are not possible without our incredible sponsors, so I'd like to make special mention of all of them. Thank you to Denton's, Logan Katz, MNP, KRP Properties, BDC, PwC, RBC Royal Bank, Osler, Silicon Valley Bank, Oxygen Events, LaBarge Weinstein, Wesley Clover, FedDev, and Invest Ottawa. And a special thank you to Tim Clark, who produced this video and who this event would not be possible without.